All right, why we're going to be talking here, why do some buyers move pretty quickly when it comes to real estate? And sometimes people watch the market for months and even years, and then suddenly they find a house and move forward with it almost immediately, like a gun is already loaded in the cartridge and it's just going through that revolver. And from the outside, it can seem really random, but in reality, buying a home is rarely random. With most real estate decisions, it's connected to something super deep and big. There's life changes, right? Those are deep decisions to make. People don't just wake up randomly one day and decide, I'm going to sell my house or I'm going to buy my house. There's usually a motivation behind the move. So if we haven't met yet, I'm Huizing V. I help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But more importantly, I believe we're called to seek the peace and prosperity of the city we live in, steward what God gives us wisely, and build our lives with intention. So today we are talking about why buyers suddenly decide it is time to move. Because once you understand your motivations and the housing market, it makes a lot more sense to you. So life can move in seasons, and the Bible talks a lot about seasons of life. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. And that includes your real estate decisions. Sometimes the season of life changes, and when that happens, people suddenly realize it's time to move. I bet that's happened to you plenty of times where you're like, dude, I got to make a change. Something happened. And so we're going to go over a couple of those motivations of that something happening. Motivation one is one of the biggest reasons you move quickly is relocation. You might get a new job, transfer within a company, get higher pay from that, move to another city. And so when relocation happens, timelines become very clear. You need a place to live, and it's often, more times than not, has to happen very soon. So sometimes these movements or moments feel like open doors in life. So we're going to go to a Proverb 16:9. Let me just head over here right now on the Logos with Proverbs. Okay, so it says, the heart of a man plans his ways or way, but the Lord establishes his step, which is pretty cool. You kind of plan the course, but the Lord kind of places you on the steps. Like your word is a lamp to my feet and light to my path. God gives you the light. And the next motivation you have is your lease is ending, right? Another common motivation is you're a renter and your lease is coming up. And after years of paying rent, sometimes you just kind of reach that moment of, I'm financially stable. I actually want to not give my money to the landlord. I'm ready to build equity and get my money back when I sell the house instead of just moving out. So that shift can move someone from renting to buying and planning and seeing the Lord establish the steps after you plan for that. And then number 3 motivation is growing family. Another major thing is when your family grows, you suddenly need more bedrooms, a good neighborhood that can attend to this bigger house, better school districts that kind of fit your needs, more space in general. Psalm 127:3 talks about this as well, which we'll head over there as well. So Psalm 123, I can't even remember which book it is. It might be the last book, actually. 123, yeah. 123, 7, 120. Oh, I'm off on this. Let me see. 127:3. Man, I was losing my mind there. 127:3. It says, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Whoa. So when families grow, housing needs to grow as well. And it seems like children are a heritage and this is a reward. So it's kind of bound to happen when God said, be fruitful and multiply. But then David talks about these children are a heritage and this is a reward. It's a big deal. Okay, so motivation number 4 is builder incentives. Sometimes buyers move quickly because builders create opportunities. Things like interest rate buy downs, closing cost assistance, upgrades included. When opportunity appears, buyers sometimes recognize the moment to move forward very, very quickly. So far we've talked about several motivations that could make you buy, which is relocation, lease ending, growing families, and builder incentives. There are a few more reasons why buyers move a bit more quickly, and it's not completely random. But before we get to those, if you're thinking about moving here or you know someone who's moving to Sioux Falls, I actually created a Sioux Falls relocation guide. It walks you through neighborhoods, housing costs, schools, what it's actually like to live here. You can grab the guide in the description below. Check it out. Seriously. Okay, the next motivation is interest rates can shift the timing of your purchase. Like back when COVID was going on, it dropped to like under 2%. And everyone was like, get me to refinance my house. How do I buy an investment property? How do I get my new house? When those rates drop, buyers just realize that your monthly payment can be significantly lower. And that change can create urgency, which I don't think it's the long-term play because you probably lose out on a lot of equity. But who knows? It's all about timing, and you can never time the market right. Moving on, motivation number 6, the right location. Sometimes people have just been waiting for something super, super specific, certain neighborhoods, specific lot, a location near a family member. And when that opportunity appears, they move quickly because it may not come around again. It might be like the cycle might be every like 20 years on that particular neighborhood or location. The next motivation is school timing. Families with kids often move based on the school calendar. So parents want to get scheduled before the school year begins. That's why summer is one of the busiest seasons in real estate. It's even busier here in Sioux Falls because we do have winter here in South Dakota. So when you look at the housing market, it's easy to think it's driven by numbers, interest rates, home prices, inventory. But the truth is something that is actually much simpler. Real estate moves because life moves for people. People need to buy houses when these factors occur. And when the seasons of life change for people often realize it's time to take the next step. So a closing verse for us is commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Proverbs 16:3. I really appreciate you guys being here today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like so you can see what's going on. And Lord willingly, we'll see you next week.